Hey, welcome back to Project Build. Today I'm going to be showing you how to replace your outlets in your house. I'm going to show you how to replace normal outlets, switched outlets, and GFCIs today. But I'm going to start with the normal outlet since that's the most common thing you're going to run into, and it's also the easiest to do. So let's go ahead and start with that. So to start, you just want to take a flathead screwdriver or whatever kind of screwdriver you need and remove whatever outlet plate you have on currently. And at this point, you want to check to see if the power in the outlet is on. So I'm using a non-contact voltage tester. Just turn it on. This means there's no power. Now I want to hold it up to the side right here. You can see that I definitely have power there. So now I need to go to the fuse box and turn off that circuit. All right, I'm out here at the fuse box. If you look over here, it's labeled with what rooms go to what. So it says here that 5B is master bedroom receptacles. So this is 5, and then 5B would be the lower one here. So if I turn that off, well, apparently it's the garage lights too. Okay, I'm back here at the outlet, and I put my voltage tester there, and it's got nothing, so I did turn it off. I will say, when you are trying to figure out what breaker turns off what, it's kind of a good idea to have someone on the phone at the other end who can tell you. That way you don't have to run back and forth. So now we need to actually take this outlet out. So I'm going to use a driver just to make this go faster. And then we pull it out. Okay, so looking at the wires coming into this outlet here, it's pretty simple. On this side with the gold screws, and I'll show you the new one. The gold screws is the hot side. That's what the black wire is attached to. It doesn't matter which one goes where. On the other side, the silver screws, and those are the neutral side of the outlet, which you can see over here. And that's where the white wires, these white wires, go into. And then down here, this green screw, which you can see here, is the ground screw, where that'll attach to. So the first thing to do with this outlet is just to take these wires off. So the ground screw we can unscrew and then get that wire off. I'm going to put that aside. And these other ones, these are pushed in on the back. And most outlets have these little quick connect where you can push the wire into the back here. I actually really don't like to use those because even though you're supposed to be able to get them out by taking a small screwdriver and pushing down into a release point, I believe it's here on this one, on this new outlet, it's this little hole right here. I never have much luck getting them off, so if I'm just going to be replacing an outlet and I'm going to be throwing it away anyway, I just cut them off because I find that to be a lot easier. So take my Linesman pliers and I'm going to cut as close to the end of the wire as I can. And just do that for all of them that are pushed in on the back here. And you can see, cut them off real close. So the next thing to do is to strip these wires. This is a good time to figure out what amp circuit and outlet you have. So this was a 15 amp outlet. It means it's 14 gauge Romex wires. So I can tell that a couple things. I don't know if you can see it, but right there it says 15 amps. And on the new outlet down at the bottom, it says 15 amps right there. And then 20 amp outlets also often have a little part that sticks out on the outlet there, which is another sign. So you want to make sure you replace a 15 amp outlet with a 15 amp outlet and 20 amp with 20. So now I need to actually strip the ends of these wires so that I can connect them to the new outlet. So I'm going to use these wire strippers and select the 14 gauge hole here and stick this through about 3/4 of an inch and close it down and just pull this insulation off. And then I just do the same thing for all the other insulated wires here. All right, so with all these wires off, we need to go about attaching them to the new outlet. So I'm going to take the hot wires first, and I will take my Linesman pliers for this, and I'm gonna create a hook on the end of this wire here using my pliers. kind of like that. And then I'm going to put that over that screw there so that it hooks over. And then take a Phillips screwdriver and tighten that down into place. And then I'll just repeat that for the other hot wire on this side. And then I'll do the two neutrals on the other side. With all the other wires attached, now we need to attach the ground wire to the ground wire screw on the new outlet. So it already has a hook on it. I just have to get it over that screw there. And then I'm gonna use my thumb to kind of hold it back so it stays in place, and then screw it down. So now we need to take the wires, fold them up, and push them back into the outlet. And then we will end up putting these screws into these holes here and screwing it in. But if you can see, this box is pretty far back behind the wall here. So I already know that I'm going to need to use some outlet spacers to bring the outlet out away from the wall so that it doesn't sit back in the plate. Because currently it's probably going to sit a lot like this. And I want it to be up flush with the plate as much as I can. So the outlet spacers look like this, and they're just little plastic spacers that can fold over, and then they kind of lock into each other like that, so you can get different widths of spacers on the back of the outlet there. So I'm going to take off a few and install them on the back here, and it's a little bit of trial and error to figure out how many you need to get the outlet the correct distance out from the wall. So I just took a couple and then I slid them over the screw on the back of the outlet here, and I'll do the same thing at the bottom, and then I'll tighten it in and we'll see what it looks like. Alright, the outlet is roughly installed. It's not completely tightened down yet because I want to take the plate, and this is a two-part plate, so this is the backer part. And I just want to stick it on and see if this is roughly the right amount of spacers for it. So I'll just take it and tighten these in real quick. And then I'll pop this on. And it looks to be pretty good. I could adjust it a little more. I think that the outlet could be rotated a little bit just to fit a little better, but that's pretty good. So if you're very particular like I am, you probably could also take a level and make sure this is level as you tighten the outlet down, but usually it's good enough if you just eyeball it. All right, one down. All right, now I'm going to show you how to change out a switched outlet. This is a outlet that is controlled by a switch. These are typically installed upside down, just to indicate that it's a switched outlet. Sometimes both outlets are controlled by the switch. Sometimes just one of the outlets is controlled by the switch. And this one, only the top half of the outlet is controlled by the switch. I'll show you what I mean. So I plug this in, it has power to the bottom. I plug that in, there's no power to the top. But if I go to the switch and turn it on, you can see that it now has power. So I'm going to show you how to replace a switched outlet where half of it's controlled by a switch and the other half isn't. It just means that there are two circuits coming to this outlet. One's a continuous circuit and one is another line coming from the switch to the top half of the outlet. And it's pretty much the same as replacing a normal outlet. There's just one little extra step you have to do to split the two halves of the outlet so they're not connected. Alright, let's do it. Okay, so first we'll go turn off the power to this outlet. Turn off the power to the outlet. I'll just check it with this outlet tester. Actually, I wanted to show you how this works real quick. It's just a quick way to check if you've wired an outlet correctly. It has lots of different options of the combination of the lights that light up. You have like open ground, open neutral, open hot, hot ground reversed, hot neutral reversed, and correct, which is these two lights here. So really cool little tool. if you're doing a lot of outlets, it's pretty good to have. All right, so with the power off, I'm going to go ahead and take this outlet out, and I'll just show you the parts that are different from replacing a normal outlet. Pulled the outlet out, and I wanted to show you how this differs from a normal outlet. So the neutral side is completely the same. We have neutral coming in one side, coming out the other. Those are connected. But on the hot side of the outlet, down here we have two black wires coming in, and these are for the continuous circuit for the outlet that's always on. And these are connected. One is plugged into the back with the quick connect, and one is on the screw here. But right here in the middle, there's a little metal tab that is broken off. And I don't know if you can see it on that one, but I'll show you on a new outlet. Right here on the hot side, there's this metal tab here that it is there connected, and when we replace this, we'll have to break this so that we separate the top and the bottom of the outlet from each other. And we only need to do that on the hot side. So this red wire is coming from the switch, and that is the hot wire from the switch. It's going into the top half of the outlet. So I'm going to take all these off and then get about to setting up the new outlet so we can replace it. So with all the wires stripped and everything, I'm going to show you how to actually set up the outlet to be switched. So this is the hot side. There's a little tab here that you'll grab with needle nose pliers and twist back and forth till it breaks off. I've actually already done this. I recorded it originally, and then the video had an error and never actually saved. But you basically, there's one on the other side. You would just grab it and you would go back and forth, and it will snap off eventually. So that's already done. Something else I wanted to point out here is that I have a 14x3 circuit on one side, and that's because I have another switched outlet down the line, and then the continuous power coming in from this side going to the bottom half of the outlet is just continuing on this black wire to the other outlet on there, and they're just piggyback on it, so they had to run one less circuit. That probably doesn't make sense. The real point here is just wire your outlet how it was when you took it out, and it's always a good idea to take a picture of how the outlet is wired before you unhook all the wires. I want to put this outlet back in now. So I'm going to start with the neutral wires, creating hooks on them, and then I'll do the hot on this side, connecting the two blacks together on the bottom half on this lower screw, and then the red wire on the top one for the switch part of the outlet. Now make sure when you're doing this that you actually have it upside down, because it'd be really easy to put it right side up and then have to redo it. Okay, the outlet is installed again, so now I'm going to go turn back on the power at the fuse box, and then I'll make sure that everything is wired right, and we'll be good to go with the switched outlet. All right, I turned the power back on, and I'm going to check with my outlet tester to make sure everything looks good. So the bottom one right here is where the outlet's wired correctly, and that's with these two lights on. So I flip it over, it'll be the two leftmost ones. It's all right, so the bottom one looks good, and then here's our switched one. It looks good, but let me run over to the switch and make sure it turns on and off. Okay, everything looks good for this switched outlet. Now just put a plate back on and you'll be done with it. Lastly, we're going to be replacing a GFCI, and these aren't too different than replacing normal outlets, but there are some small differences in how they work that are important to know, because it kind of dictates how the outlet is wired. For example, I have the new GFCI here, and I wanted to show you on the back. So you have up here is the line side of the outlet, and down here is the load side. And what that means is the line is the power coming from the source, so like from the breaker panel, and load is anything down the line on the circuit. GFCIs are commonly placed as the first outlet in a circuit, like in a kitchen or something, so that any outlet down on the load side past the GFCI is protected with the same protection that the GFCI provides. So that means that not only is this outlet protected, but any outlet beyond that is protected. So GFCI stands for ground fault circuit interrupter. And all that means is that if the outlet detects a ground fault, it trips and it stops sending power down to the load side from the outlet on. And this is why they're commonly placed where there's water, like kitchens or bathrooms. The outlet detects one of those ground faults that shuts off that power, because as a human, if you mix water and electricity, you're gonna have a bad time. I wanted to show like a visual representation of how this actually works. So this GFCI is at the front of the circuit, and then down the line are outlets that are protected by this outlet. So what I mean by that is currently this is on, there's power down the line to it. If we come over here, this outlet over here is protected by that GFCI over there, is on the same circuit. So if I go and trip it, you see that the outlet shuts off. And if I reset it, you see that there's power to the outlet again. And this would be true for any outlet that's also down the line on this circuit. So I turn off the power, and I'm just going to take the outlet out. And then from there, we have to look at the wiring and determine which wires are the load side and which wires are the line side. All right, with the switch out, I can look at it, and I was pretty sure that the line came from the right, as the circuit comes from the fridge, and then the load was on the left side, as the outlets to my left were controlled or turned off by this GFCI. But now I'm definitely sure, because if I look at the back here, I mean, load is on the left and line is on the right. It says it on the back of the outlet. So just use that to determine how to hook up the next one. Now I'm actually not going to replace this switch, as there's nothing that would be gained by showing that, and this one is actually working fine for now. But if I did, it would just be just the same as the other switches I replaced, except for I would make sure that this is the load line, so basically the outlets on the other end of the circuit would go in on this top here, and then the line side was coming into the line. So basically the power source comes into the line, and again the load going out is the load side. So I won't replace this one. I will go replace one in a bathroom though that does need to be updated and have GFCI added to it. So let's go do that. I'm in one of my bathrooms here and going to change this outlet to a GFCI. You really should have them in bathrooms, but in this case there wasn't one here. And I believe this is the end of the circuit, so the wiring will be slightly different than the one in the kitchen. But let's go turn the power off and look at what we've got. When I was turning off the power for this outlet, I actually learned that I don't need to replace it. I found out that it's already on a GFCI circuit, and I wasn't aware of it, because the GFCI is located in the half bath on a different floor on the other side of the house. I wouldn't have guessed that, but the power that turned off the circuit to this outlet was labeled bathroom GFI, and that had me thinking, it's already on a GFI circuit, where is that outlet? So went to that bathroom and tested it by clicking the test button, and it turned off the power here. I actually tested our master bath too, so there was one protecting all of the bathrooms. Doesn't mean I couldn't replace this with this GFCI. It would still work, but it would be overkill. That said, GFCIs are really like normal outlets, except for power can only flow one way. Just make sure your power coming in is on the line, make sure your power going out is on the load. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. So that should be all you need to replace most of the outlets in your house. You don't need an electrician to come in to replace outlets in your house. I hope that you learned something, and if you did, let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.